you see people say, I can't be around sickle cell people. They will give me sickle cell. Sickle cell is not contagious. It's genetic. The only person that can give you sickle cell is your parent. And I just pray that we get to that point where we can have an understanding about how sickle cell works. But in the meantime, we're going to have a conversation about the journey of sickle cell. Sickle cell, the awareness of sickle cell in the US started in 1972 with the presidency of Nixon. He's the only president that eventually approved the research on sickle cell, and they started coming up with drugs to help with sickle cell. Nigeria, I don't know, our project topics, the way it works in this country. So, but people are not doing the research that we need, but I believe sickle cell cure can come from anybody. It can be from Nigeria, most especially that we are the capital of sickle cell in the world. And capital of sickle cell in the world. Yes. Before you came in, I was giving a brief on how in India they have 1.4 billion people, and out of 1.4 billion, they have 1.7 million people living with sickle cell. And in the whole of US, we have 110,000 people living with sickle cell or RAS. In the whole of UK, we have 25,000 people living with sickle cell or RAS. In the whole of Nigeria, 25% of our population lives with sickle cell or are carriers. Second to us is Democratic Republic of Congo. We also have Gabon, Ghana, and Niger. And all these are African countries that follow suit to Nigeria. But Nigeria has 57 million people living with sickle cell or are carriers. It's a lot of number. How can we overcome this number? And the thing is, most sickle cell people are given birth to by AS combination. I mean, in the statistics we have, 97% of sickle cell patients are delivered from AS relationship. And when you tell people AS should not marry AS, it becomes a conversation that is quite difficult for people to have. But we need to grow. We need to also get to a point where we ourselves can be active players in the sickle cell process. And that's why we kick off with this conversation. So I can just randomly pick. Before now, what do you know about sickle cell and what has changed over time? Muki, we'll start with you.
Yeah, well, I think my knowledge of sickle cell is still quite sketchy. I just know that someone who has sickle cell gets to, go into crisis and then needs the support of their family and those that are around them a lot. And then, of course, from the encounter I've had with some of them, they're not different from us at all. It's just that they have a condition that needs to be, seriously considered, and they would need support from the rest of us. That's basically what I know.
Did you grow up with the impression that they are going to die soon? Like they tell you, they get to a certain age and they'll die.
Exactly.
What part of that assertion did you have, and what has changed from that?
Yeah, true. I had that belief that they didn't live long until, of course, I met a grown man that said he had been living with the condition for as long as he had. So I realized it was actually something that could be, managed. It isn't a death sentence, not exactly the way I thought before. And like you rightly pointed out, I honestly thought that it was true that they couldn't live to be adults, because most of the sickle cell patients I knew died young. That was when I was younger. But then as I grew older, I realized, okay, this is actually a condition that can be managed.
Thank you. Okay, so like he was saying, he said he knows that they get to have crises and it hits hard. Elisha, do you know crisis of sickle cell? Do you have an idea what it is? So if you see someone with sickle cell around you and they say they're having crisis, do you have an idea what it is?
Well, I don't have that. I have a myopic idea concerning the crisis of a sickle cell carrier. My stepbrother was a sickle cell carrier before he died. And At times he do he do cry, or he do complain of his legs, chest pain, back pain, and other things like that. And after a while, I think about some years back, he passed on. So that's the little knowledge I have on.
Okay, so Jenny, please, do you know what sickle cell crisis is? What's your understanding of sickle cell? Generally, if they'd say, give us small insight on what you know about sickle cell people, crisis, and then living with sickle cell, what would it be?
Yeah, honestly, well, when I was still little, I didn't really understand what sickle cell is, because I just knew that they had a disease that when they get to a particular age, maybe they won't get past 20 years, they will die. And so it has been like that, but I kept wondering, like, okay, what really is this sickle cell, up until I grew up, and then I understood that it's a blood, it's something that is genetic and you get it from your parents. And I have never seen anyone with that crisis until once. And the only thing I remember is she had pains, she was complaining of her knee, and so we kept massaging it for her, and then she was given an injection for some time, then she became normal. That's the only attack that I remember. She kept complaining of her knee and so on. So that's all I remember.
So, Peace, you are a mother. Have you had experience where people probably looked down on you and told you can't be a mother, and you've proven them wrong to a certain extent, and then probably the stigmatization of living with sickle cell? How has some of those things affected you, and how are you overcoming it?
Okay, growing up, I was not like free with people, because most of the times I fall sick, so people do avoid coming close to me. They feel like, just as you said, they feel it's contagious like that. But then, and I was also discouraged, because they said I'm not going to reach 25 years, and now I'm 31. So I don't think sickle cell is a death sentence, and as far as I'm concerned, I still have a long way to go. My daughter is AS because her dad is AA.
Over time, I've learned one thing: having people that you can always talk to is one of the greatest assets you can ever have. And that's why they said my wealth are the people around me. I started organizing this program like last year. We just came together and we're like, how many people? I can't remember, but I think we were up to 30. And this year we were thinking, okay, it's just one of those things we call people, and probably people might not come. But I've learned over time, like I said, that the conversation of having friendship is priceless, and that's the friendship we're thriving on today. I want to really appreciate my younger brother for helping me organize this event. He was there. I was running around like a madman just to make sure that I meet up with the time. My neighbor, he was here. He was doing all the mopping and helping out with the best he can just to achieve this program. And this is because they understand that, well, I'm not doing this for me, I'm doing this for the warriors as well. So, Roman, thank you so much. Manley, thank you so much for helping out. And Kika with the camera, thank you for coming to help me with the setting up and everything.